Hey everybody, welcome back to the Fire It Up with CJ show. We're continuing our series of talking about acupuncture and how it's so powerful. Really, it's Chinese medicine and how powerful it is in terms of if we know a little bit about the seasons, the elements, we can actually live in more alignment with those things. And we're talking about that right now with Jenna Meem, who is the owner of the Health Discovery Acupuncture. So welcome back again.
Thank you. How are you?
Good. I'm doing okay. Yeah, I find all of this. I find Chinese medicine, this branch of Chinese medicine, to be fascinating because there's so much wisdom embedded in this body of work. Um,
Right.
so I want to talk a little bit about the five elements and the four seasons and how they work together and how that may translate to what someone actually comes in and what presents when then people come into the office.
Right. Cool. Yeah, let's talk. So do you have a first question or
No, I just want to find out. So, what are the five elements and four seasons
I'm
and
going to
how they
give you an
integrate?
image for that.
Okay, good.
Let's see. So here is a little how they all relate.
Okay.
So at the top, you can see that there's the water element, and then
Mm-hmm.
the kidneys and the urinary bladder are associated with that.
Mm-hmm.
And winter is the season associated with water.
Mm-hmm.
And then we turn into spring, which should be right now.
Right.
And that's the wood season. And the
Right. And
wood
I'm sorry, just for people who are looking at the image, there's a water and then it points to wood. So that's actually the next season. So that goes from winter to spring. Okay,
Right.
got it.
And then that's the liver and the gallbladder are the organ functions associated with the wood element.
Mm-hmm.
And then as we transition into summer, we have the fire element, which kind of makes
Mm.
sense. The sun is brighter and everybody's just more excited in general.
Mm-hmm.
And then the heart and small intestine and the pericardium and the sanjiao are the organs or the channels associated with the fire
Mm-hmm.
element. And then earth is fascinating. So there's a couple different schools of thought. One is earth is like late summer.
Mm-hmm.
Another theory is that in between each season, we go back to earth. So between
Mm.
spring and summer, we are in where we are back right now is actually considered the earth time according to the lunar calendar because we're in between spring and summer, even though if you're in Seattle right now, it doesn't feel like we've quite had a spring yet, but the
Right.
lunar calendar doesn't associate with actual Seattle weather patterns. So then we have metal for fall, and metal is associated with the lungs and large intestine. So you can see that they're all in a circle because they feed into one another, and we call that the generation cycle.
Hmm.
So when we're working with channels, if we're going to use a water point on a wood channel, we're going to be nourishing and tonifying that channel because
Mm-hmm.
water supports wood.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see those arrows across. Metal controls liver, or sorry, wood. Metal controls wood.
Mm-hmm.
So in that, if somebody's wood is overactive, we would use a metal point to help kind of sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think about it, like if you can chop wood down, right? If you think about
Mm-hmm.
this just very in nature,
Right.
and you need water to grow a plant, right? You need
Mm.
water to grow a tree. And then when you're burning a tree, you have fire. You need something to burn to create fire.
Ah, okay. Okay,
And then
got it.
and
Yep.
then if you burn something for a really long time, it becomes ashy and it kind of recycles back into the earth.
Okay, so like if I actually look at the circle starting with water, which you did, so there's water which actually feeds wood, which helps a tree grow, and then then the tree actually feeds the fire to create a fire. The
Mhm.
fire, how does fire connect with earth?
Yeah, so decomposition.
Okay, so like fire, and so I'm imagining fire going to like so the
Ash,
ashes. Okay, got it. And then that earth creates then it goes into feeding
metal.
to metal.
Yeah, that's a little harder to get in nature, right? Because, a metal would be like the iron core of the earth or something. So metal, that's a little harder to make that direct
Okay, and then the
bridge.
metal. What's the metal to wood connect? Metal to what water?
Again, because obviously metal doesn't turn into water or have that one is a little harder too. The metal element flowing this way, it's a little out of sync, but that's
Okay,
okay.
got it. Okay, got it. And I see like
Still
a
works.
star pattern where you describe the metal. So if I'm having too much wood, which means I have maybe some liver issues, some gallbladder issues, I would
Right.
be going over to metal. And so would that mean you would be actually going to those acupuncture points that are related to metal?
Yes. They could be.
Okay, got it.
Also, breathing is the lungs, right? And so when you're really angry and you take a nice deep breath, you're going to control your anger.
Okay, got it. And then there are other patterns. So then there's like if you have too much fire, then you would actually put, is it water? I don't know what would be.
Right. Doesn't that make sense? If you want
Yes.
to kind of balance the fire with water.
Okay. And if you have too much earth, you would put in,
Water moves earth, right? Oh, sorry.
uh,
It's the other way. Wood controls earth,
okay.
and then earth controls water.
Okay, got it. So these are the elements that you're actually when you're doing acupuncture, you're actually looking at these elements as a way to either reinforce or give energy in a certain area if it's deplete, or
Right.
actually balance it if it's kind of gone, it's unbalanced. You're getting it to kind of
Right.
get kind of more harmony between those two elements.
That's always the goal. More.
Okay. Okay, got it. So those are the five elements, and you were talking about how they map to various seasons, all the way from winter for water to spring, summer, winter, whatever, fall. It kind of goes into a cycle. So how does that correlate? Because you were talking about biorhythms, that we actually live accordance to these
Circadian rhythm.
seasons, yeah. And I
Mhm.
assume then that means, by definition, our body are going through different elements during different
Yes.
seasons. Okay, so
You're so intuitive.
what's the connection between those two?
So let's go to winter.
Okay.
Winter is kind of it's the water time. It's the time to reflect, right? The time to kind of rest more. Everybody's a little more chill. It's cold. Cold is
Hmm.
the quality of the water and the winter element.
Hmm.
So we need to eat warm foods, right?
Mm,
We don't. It's not the time for ice cream and raw salads
right,
because those are going to be harder to digest.
right.
So if your body has a finite amount of energy, vital energy, digestive fire and energy, then if your body has to use a lot of that energy just to keep you warm because the elements are so cold, you don't have as much available then to digest your food. So we're going to
Oh,
make it easier, right? We're going to just
mm,
help the body out. Lots of soups, lots of cooked things. That's when it feels so good to do a roast it makes your whole house warm and we want to sip on
right.
the fire and read a book and just relax. Like this is winter.
Right. And so if you were doing an acupuncture treatment for someone during winter, what are the typical kinds of things that you'd want to do? Like I saw the various channels that you'd want to work on and things that you'd want to do for balancing. What are some of the treatments and what are the symptoms that people typically come up with during the winter?
Good question. Well, because the kidney and urinary bladder are the the organs associated with the winter and water element, that would relate commonly to back pain.
Mm,
You can see back pain any time of
yeah.
year, right? But that those would be things to look at, and also if they're over burning their candle, right? Like people who are living as if it's summer in the middle of winter, they're going to burn out, right?
Mm,
A lot of
hmm.
conservation of energy and like okay, this is like bears hibernate right now,
Right.
just modify your schedule,
Right.
think about it in terms of like what's best for your vitality.
Right. And what I find so interesting is that this isn't actually mapping with our actual calendar because
Right.
during that winter time is like Christmas, New Year's Eve, like all this stuff that happens when we're kind of amped up and running around trying to cram in more in
Right.
shorter periods of time. So it seems
Right.
like that would
And
be
how do
the
people feel, right? They're
right.
stressed out, they're like
Yes.
ah.
Right, because there's a conflict between what is on the calendar that you should be doing and actually what your body wants to be doing.
Right.
Interesting. Okay, got it.
All those parties being that social.
Right. Okay, so
It's
we went.
fun.
So that's fall, and then we go over to spring, which is right
Right.
now, which is the wood. Right.
Yes, good job.
Okay. Good.
Yeah. So this is rebirth, right? So
Mm,
if one association with the water in the winter is death.
mm-hmm.
So if you think about plants, right? Like everything kind of dies, the grass dies, everything, and now it's coming back to life in spring.
Ah. Okay.
So it's like rebirth. A lot of also winter can be a little more stagnating because there's a lot of rest. So
Mm,
now we need to start getting some movement. We need to
mm,
clear, cleanse, purge. This is a
mm,
spring cleaning has deep roots, in like
mm,
that concept, and it's so powerful. The state of your home reflects the state of your mind. Our
mm.
surroundings affect us. So in the winter, we get all cozy and kind of bear down. And
Yeah.
now we get to clear and open up, open the windows, open the door, clean the windows,
Right.
and clean the floor, get rid of all the clothes that are cluttering you. And
Right.
now we get to start eating more fresh things. It's a great time to do juicing and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay, got it. And then this is sadly for me, I'm having a lot of allergies. So this is also a time for during that rebirth and opening comes a whole bunch of allergies. So what are some of the treatments that you offer to help balance the
Right.
energies of the spring?
Okay. 1 second. So this is pretty specific. So let's
Okay.
see if I can keep it simple. Can you see that?
Yes, wow. So I see four circles, and I'm assuming that those circles, and then I see, the
Well,
sides.
treatments. Okay, so this is one way to balance somebody in the season. And
Okay.
I learned about the balance method from Dr. Richard Tan.
Mm-hmm.
And he showed us how the seasons correlate with your acupuncture meridians and points.
Mm.
So even in traditional Chinese medicine in school, we learned that each of the points from the not each of the points, but there are 5 points on every channel related to an element. So the
Mm.
channel itself has an element, but then 5 of these special points also have an element.
Mm. Okay, got it.
And so trying not to overcomplicate things. But there are ways to help use, you can see those little lines.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
every element, every season has a gua, like a
Mm-hmm.
ba gua is a
Mm-hmm.
term,
Yes.
means the 8 guas.
Yes.
So we use this to map. So each channel has its own gua identity, and each
Mm-hmm.
season has its own gua identity. And
Mm-hmm.
when we sync the channel with the season, we can literally help the body get into real time.
So what's a gua?
Right, good. I know this is kind of complicated. It's literally like a name, right? So there's
Mm-hmm.
all these lines, and a solid line means yang, and a broken line means yin. And
Mm-hmm.
so each of the channels and each of the elements have these 6 lines stacked together
Mm-hmm.
that basically are a word. They're explaining to us what that channel is, and it relates to those
Mm.
points. So if you put a needle in a point that's a broken line, it becomes a solid line.
Ah.
So and so if you do these channels the way he taught us, which he's a brilliant man. He sadly passed away this time last year.
Oh,
So it's tragic for the whole, I mean for the world for sure. He's a
yeah.
wonderful person. And brilliant.
Yeah.
So and he was an engineer before he was an acupuncturist. So the way he explains things is just it really resonates with me.
Right.
So, but so then when you take that a step further, and each of the channels has partner channels that
Mm-hmm.
connect.
Mm-hmm.
And so he helped me understand how the systems of connection. And then I drew these little circles, which are the clock. And so
Mm.
each of those colors, like the green over here, those
Mm-hmm.
are a closed circuit. So this channel, this channel, this channel, and this channel all create a circuit. And the
Mm-hmm.
same thing, the purple is it's another one, the red is another one, and then each of these demonstrate, wherever they're color coded, the like colors are
Mm-hmm.
a closed circuit.
Mm.
So there are 12 closed circuits in total.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
And are they changing during the day, or is this is actually during a spring? We're looking at spring, and we're
right,
looking at four circles that represent different times during that spring season or during a
okay,
day.
you're very smart, so you're taking it a little too far. So let's
Okay.
back up. This is a snapshot of the clock, and I'm using this simply to map the circuits.
Okay, got it.
So these circuits hold all the time,
Mm.
100% of the time. You have these circuits that if we use all 4 channels in this, we're creating a flow that creates
Mm.
a figure 8 in the body, and it's
Oh.
connecting. So now the points we choose within that circuit relate to the season.
Okay, got it. Cool. Very cool. Okay, got it.
Just because it's a lot to calculate, I made a cheat sheet.
Yes, no, it is super complicated to look at. All right, and what are those other three circles to the left of that one circle represent?
All of the circles are showing the like all of these circles are mapping out all 12 of the circuits. So now you have the front of the body, the side of the body, and the back. So all of the
Ah.
orange circuits
Oh.
relate to the front of the body. all of the yellow ones relate to the side, and then the pink ones relate to the back. So I just organize it.
Okay,
So
got it.
orange ones relate to all of the orange ones here.
I see.
All of the yellow ones relate to the yellow here. All of the pink relate to the pink here, and then these don't quite fit that pattern. So they're
Right,
just
no, I get it. So then basically this is kind of because he's an engineer, he's mapped out like what you need to do during the spring system so that your system is sort of it's almost like maintenance. I think of like, when you go into getting your car maintained, there's this, you've got to replace the hose, you need to get the oil change, you need to have like check your tires, all these different things. It seems like every season has one of these sheets, that right? Is that every season has one of these sheets that go with it so that you as a practitioner can then go and apply the points.
To be totally honest, I made the sheet.
Okay,
So
no.
he taught me the systems and how they're related. So
Ah,
there's 6 different ways that all the channels are connected. And because I personally I like images.
yes.
So what I wanted to do was see there's got to be patterns, right? Like it doesn't make sense that if there's 12 channels and they're all connected in these 6 systems that we're not going to see repetition. So I played around with the clock, and that's my way of understanding it simply. It's putting it onto the clock, and then he taught us how to use those guas and convert it. And so again, and he showed us how to create those closed circuits. So this is kind of me compiling everything I've learned from him.
That's lovely.
About the seasons and put it into one sheet. So if somebody comes in with allergies,
Right.
this is a seasonal thing. The seasonal treatments are really effective at helping with the allergies.
Okay, got it. Yes, that actually absolutely makes sense. And I find that whole thing just fascinating.
A lot of stuff. So
Yeah. Okay, so then from spring, summer comes along, and then what happens during summer typically?
Summer, we can eat raw things, right? Because our body doesn't have to work so hard to keep us warm.
Right.
So we're able, and this would be the season if you would like ice cream to indulge in ice cream.
Right.
Because again, that cold, damp, and sugar, it can be really hard on the system, but you're most likely to be okay with it more so in the summer than other seasons.
Right.
It's time for lots of activity. Lots of excitement, just, being outside, getting some sun if you're in a sunny place.
Right.
And having fun.
Both of us are in Seattle, which is that comment.
Yeah.
Okay, so then what kind of treatments would you usually offer? So someone's out there, they're going out there, that's fire. So water would be if they're kind of going out there too much or kind of getting too overcharged with their activities, and you would put some water, or if they're kind of like finding themselves sluggish and not going out there, you would actually support the fire.
Right. Well, to be honest, in America, it pretty much, no matter what time of year, we want to relax people.
Right.
This culture in general seems to at least exist above the recommended level of energy. Right? We're all burning our candles at every end, and we're doing too much. So there's going to be some benefit to relaxing and helping people. But yes, if somebody just doesn't feel like doing anything, and we do want to help stimulate their fire and help them come up, like bring it out of them, like, okay, let's see what's blocked and let's get that open.
Right. Okay. Got it.
Because joy is the emotion associated with fire, right?
Right.
So summer should be full of joy. I mean, life should be full of joy, but especially in the summer.
Okay, got it. So if someone's actually feeling like, I'm feeling, so let's say I'm feeling. So you may actually what may present itself into the office is someone during the season of summer presenting kind of more watery aspects of themselves. So then you know what to happen. But what are other things that typically present to themselves in the office during a season of summer?
Good question. We talked about how fire is excitable. Mm-hmm. So now if you have anger with excitement, you get rage.
Right.
So that could come up, right? The passion is high, and you can get people that are just, their fire's out of control, right?
Okay.
Or mania, right? Like people who are just like so amped. Anxiety can get bad. There is a lot of socialness to the season as well. So people who are anxious, that can get triggered.
Okay.
So those might be common summer things we'd see.
Okay. And how about during the fall?
Fall. Okay, good. Fall, again, the metal is the element,
Right.
and lungs and large intestine. So this is again about bringing in, letting go. This is like as things. So Earth
Oh,
was
right.
first, though. We skipped Earth.
Oh, Earth. Sorry.
That's okay.
Why do I
Uh,
always skip Earth? Okay, Earth.
well, Earth is that in between. It's either the late summer. So if you imagine fruit, right?
Mm.
In the spring, things are starting to blossom. In
Mm-hmm.
the summer, they're ripe. And in
Mm.
the late summer, they're getting overly ripe, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yes.
fall will be decomposing,
Ah,
right?
okay, got it.
So that's what we can follow an apple through the cycles.
Oh, I
If you,
love that. Okay, got it. So during
yeah,
during the apple, it's
the
in full.
apple
So
season, apple
so in
season,
the earth, it's like during that late fall. It's like those are when the apples are the very best, actually,
right? They're
during that late
super,
fall.
super ripe, right?
Yeah, yeah. So what happens during the fall, and what presents itself in the office, and what's generally happening in the fall?
Well, there's a lot of that now. If you imagine you've extended a ton of energy through the summer, now
Right.
you're starting to feel the the impact of being like overly excited for a
Right.
very long time. And I think we can also see that the this fall and the winter are coming,
Yeah.
right? So it's
Yeah.
kind of like that last burst of like,
Right.
okay, let's go camping. I mean, that's for
Yeah.
me. I love to
Me
go
too.
camping in the summer
Absolutely. Yeah.
and get out and like be in nature because you don't you know you're going to have to start closing your doors and your windows and like buckling down and so
Right.
there's like
School starting. Yeah. It's
right,
kind of like,
right,
oh no, the whole schedule starting all over again.
right. And then the met like fall is about like things are now decomposing and there's
Hmm.
like starting to kind of people can get sad in the fall because they're like,
Hmm.
oh, that beautiful summer's over, and you can just feel the potential dauntingness of winter. Some
Right.
people love fall for that same reason. They're like, oh, good,
Yeah.
summer's over, and I can just relax and like go back
Yes.
in. And so, also, we want to start preparing our immunity in the fall,
Mm.
late summer, really, because the winter is definitely a higher time for catching colds and flu and this and that. So we want to really boost our immunity and get it ready.
Okay, so in some ways, going in during the late summer is a way to kind of boost it up. So
Right.
if I would go in during that late summer time when everything is super ripe, I'm also kind of fortifying stuff for the fall and winter when I'm more likely to get a cold. Allergies happen during fall too, right? And then fall and
Allergies
winter.
can happen anytime, but for sure, spring and fall are heavy ones.
Yeah, and so what kinds of things are you doing for, how is that related to the elements during that time?
Right. Well, again, breathing. So we would really want to focus on the lungs and make sure that the
Mm,
lungs are supported because the lung system goes all the way from the lung organ itself up through the throat. The nose is the orifice related to the lungs.
right.
So the throat also. So it's like all of that, the stuff that we think about, right?
Okay.
And then
Yeah.
we also want to get our spleens supported, spleen and pancreas, because when the spleen gets weak, then our body isn't, we call transforming and transporting the
Mm-hmm.
nutrients from our food very well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then we get what we call dampness.
Right.
So if you've ever felt dampness in your sinuses, it's not fun.
Yes. Okay. So that's what's happening, and that's what may be presenting when people come to the office is I'm having allergies, I'm getting like the nose, chest, throat, like that kind of construct around. And so the fall treatment would be to support that
Right.
whole thing.
And cool, interestingly, the fall gua is the heaven and earth balance, and it's one of the most balanced, most beautiful, symmetrical in Chinese medicine. They love this kind of balance. So we can use the metal gua to treat somebody any time of the year, and it won't throw them off. But
Mm,
especially in the fall because it's such a harmonious balance. So we
mm.
can use those same circuits we talked about, and in that case, I would use the lung and the spleen and then the large intestine and the stomach channels and then bring them into sync with the fall.
I just did this interview and you can find it on Fired Up with CJ on my page. But they talk about music. I talked to a guy who's a composer, and he actually has created music that actually correlates to these elements and also
Cool.
to the seasons to
Cool.
actually support you. And he has this idea of a triple warmer. Is
Mhm.
that what you said is a Chinese idea? Is that also, how does that relate to any of this
Well,
stuff?
the triple warmer is one way to just call the sanjiao. So in the
Mm,
school I went to, they called it sanjiao, which means three jiaos. Jiaos being like area of the body. So you
yes.
have the head and then the chest and then the lower body, and those are the jiaos. So triple warmer is like these three burners. And
Mm-hmm.
again, I'm studying yoga right now, and there's a lot of correlations with the chakra system. So
Ah,
But I can't say a direct correlation quite yet.
Right.
But there's some parallels to this idea of these energy centers. And
Very
in
cool.
Chinese medicine, there's 3 profound ones.
Okay. And so ideally, would someone come in and do an acupuncture session during each of these 4 seasons to align their body, mind, and spirit organs to be in preparation? Or when does one do?
At least
Okay.
4 times a year, right?
Right. Yeah, so
So
when would you want to do it? So let's say that it's so now is spring, March 21st, right? So that's when spring began. Would you come like February in preparation? I know, let's say that you're like
it's really smart. Yes.
yeah. So you'd come in the month before to actually prepare yourself for the month the spring season.
Yes.
Okay.
But oftentimes we don't think about things until they show up. So
Right.
even if you come in with your allergies right now, we can help. But
Okay.
yes, if somebody comes in 2 to 3 months before their allergies, we would then get them on an herbal formula to help support them so they don't have that problem.
So it's actually one if you come in a couple months before, it'd be preventative.
Right.
And so
Prevention is always better.
right.
Always.
Interesting. I never thought about that. So coming in February for the spring season, and then probably in August for that fall kind of allergies that come along. That would help support and prevent, and as well as like the tinctures and things like that.
Right. Well, and
Interesting.
in Seattle specifically, or in the Northwest, I would say go out and collect stinging nettle right now. Because stinging nettle is magical. You have to know how to collect it, but if you boil that, there's as much calcium as 30 cups of milk in
What?
a tea. And stinging nettle, it's local, so it's going to help you with things you're allergic to locally. And
Oh.
it helps all of the mucosal linings, right? So it's really good for uterine contractions. It's good for the nasal passageway and the esophagus, the sinuses. Stinging nettle, I mean, being here where that's just so plentiful, that would be my recommendation to
For
really,
Seattle. So
yeah.
does stinging nettle grow all over the place or just in Seattle? Okay, got
Well, I
it.
mean, all over the Northwest for sure. I mean, I
Right.
grew up here and I played in the woods plenty to know. You learn about stinging nettle quickly because it
Right.
definitely stings you. But
But so you take it and you actually boil it down and create like a stinging nettle tea, or what do you do?
you can do lots of things. It's as tasty as kale. So you can, yeah,
Eat it.
you can blanch it first. You have to get the stingy part gone, right?
Right,
So you
right,
need to boil it enough to blanching it works.
right.
And then you can make pesto out of it. Stinging nettle pesto is a really cool thing. You can
Very
also,
cool.
I know, I love it. You can juice it. You can make tea out of it. I tried. I need to go collect right now. I'm behind on this because you want to get it before it blossoms. So like right now,
Oh,
it's really perfect. But that way you can dry some of it, and then you can have tea throughout the year.
oh.
You can use it for food. It's so nutritious that it
Right.
has lots of upsides.
Yeah, I love it. That's a specific, like, honey seems to be the thing that other people use. So you want to get the honey made in your region because of those same exact reasons, right?
Your body will respond to things your body is used to locally.
Yeah, so actually, if you don't have the fortune of, because this is a national show, if you don't have the fortune of stinging nettle, you can actually get, and I assume I can get, like, if I can't spend time today walking around looking for stinging nettle, I could get stinging nettle tea and be pretty assured it's probably from this area anyways.
Yes, but I totally recommend going out in nature and getting.
I know, but I'm lazy. But if not, then you can actually use,
You can buy it. You
is
can
honey
call
enough?
Yeah, for
It's
sure.
honey the other way that you actually ingest the various pollens in your area so that you build up an immunity. And if people don't have access to stinging nettle, is that the other thing that they can use to get?
I don't know that you have to go either or on that one.
Yeah.
So we were talking about the fall a second ago. So for me, the best thing to have on hand for the fall and winter, kind of always, but for sure fall and winter, is honey, ginger root, and lemon. And if you
Oh,
start your day with this concoction where you just boil water, you slice up some ginger root, you throw it in the cup, and you put the boiling water, squeeze half a lemon, and add honey, you are now nourishing. The lemon helps move your qi, so it helps your liver and all of the qi flow. Anything that might stagnate, it's like smoothing that out. It helps your digestion. The honey is also nourishing to your digestion, and the ginger too. So you're really supporting your immunity and your digestion and helping your body just relax.
right, all throughout the day. I mean, all throughout the seasons, you're saying.
Yeah,
And
so
just for us,
especially
for people who are challenged with cooking, how much ginger is like one slice of ginger, a half a lemon, and like a teaspoon of honey? Is that enough to do the trick?
well, I like ginger, so I usually do about 4 pieces and then kind of cut them crossways so there's lots of surface area for the
Yes.
ginger to get out.
Yeah.
I even don't mind chewing them at the end. Like I like ginger,
Okay.
and then I definitely squeeze half a lemon. But you could maybe even just do a lemon wedge. I mean, there's not like any
Yeah,
right
there
or
isn't a It's not like a formula. It's just like
not
this is going to be
necessarily
generally supportive to your system.
right.
I love that because here's what I drink all day because I want something hot, but that actually is a much better thing. I assume.
Is that coffee?
Yes.
Oh, that's like the middle way, right?
Yes, exactly. Coffee in the morning, but then I could be drinking ginger, lemon, and a little bit of honey during the day.
Well,
Love that.
actually, if you really want to get in sync with this idea of being in sync with your body's clock and nature, you want to drink something hot that's non-caffeinated first thing. Like start your
Mm,
day with some lemon water, even just lemon water. It doesn't have to have all the
right,
rest of that, but just lemon water, and then you can change to coffee. Because in the morning, it's when your body's still, we have a whole progression with the clock in our own bodies. So
right.
in the morning, we want to start waking up the digestion. We
Uh,
want to breathe. We want to move the body gently. We want to have a bowel movement. And
right.
then we want coffee, and then we can go. Right?
I love it. Okay, we're gonna have to do another video on eating according to like the biorhythms during a particular day because I don't think that as Westerners we even know,
Right.
right? Who would have known? Um, thank you. I
Thank you.
find this work utterly fascinating. Thank you so much.
It means so much to me that you're listening to the show and would love your support in any way by giving me comments below or to subscribe to the show or share the show with friends. Thank you again for your support. Love and blessings.